Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Chris Hearn, CEO of Fountainhead Capital out of Orlando, one of the founders and holders of one of the coveted 14 SBLC licenses, non-bank lender. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Lance Sexton, our Coleman webinar extraordinaire. Professor and Katie Roach, undisclosed in Washington State. How are you adapting, Katie? You've been up there, what, a month now?
Yeah, I mean, we've started to get into the point where we're starting to get rain daily. So.
Yeah, you're a California girl. Yeah, welcome to that. And where's your husband? Your husband's from California?
Yeah, he's from California as well. We both moved up here because of work.
Yeah, talk to me in February. Let's go to the questions. Is your lending institution planning on making Main Street lending program loans? Chris, what are you guys doing?
We're not as presently constructed. No. We're going to see if they change the program, update it, make it a little more incentivized for the lending community to participate.
Okay, yeah, we're 13% yes, 79% no. We'll talk about that later in the program, Chris. I'll throw it to you when we do that. I would, obviously, there's money in the pot to take advantage of to help employers employ people, so I think that's something that is of a high priority. Number two, are fees to manage the estimated cost of the 7A loan program? This is what the Goldilocks question. It's too hard, too soft, just about right. And the pause means that someone should be putting up poll results quickly.
Yeah, sorry, Mike, can you do that for me? I somehow X'd out of that.
Oh, good. Yes, we are technical wizards here. Well, while we're figuring that out, Lance, what's your answer to the question?
Well, I think the fees are fair. SBA is a zero subsidy program, and they calculate the fees to make sure it stays that way. So they're reasonably fair.
Chris, you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think what Lance said is accurate. I mean, I'd like to continue to have the programs maintain zero subsidy, operate at zero subsidy, and so far so good. I think it's pretty fair.
Katie, you're new to the program, but what do you think?
Well, I would have to go on what they're saying because I'm not a lender. So I would expect.
Very good. Go with the majority. Go with the trend. Okay, you can't go wrong with it. Now, what about the 10% that say it's low? Go ahead.
Bob, I'm not speaking for Chris, but we probably both would like to see the fees lower, but I think the benefit of the program being at zero subsidy far outweighs a lower fee.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
When we're going to talk compensation, what do you think is going to happen in 2021? And when we see lender compensation, we're talking overall department, we're talking underwriters, closers, BDOs, managers. Do you think that overall compensation in your department is going to go up, go down, or remain the same? There you go, 70%. Chris, any insight on that one?
I mean, my inclination is to say to remain the same roughly, but I have a hunch, as I've been saying for months on these webinars, that I think SBA is going to probably play a standout role going forward over the next couple of years. So I would expect that the volumes will go up as SBA plays more and more part of the recovery efforts. And as volumes go up, I would expect the compensation will probably rise some as well. So I'm not going to be shocked if that occurs.
And I would agree with that, Lance. And I'm sort of intrigued what SBA is going to look like 3 to 5 years out, Lance.
Well, I fully believe what Chris has said. I think SBA lending is going to be a superstar in 2021, but Bob, I also think that your servicing and liquidation personnel are going to be extremely important in 2021. And I would go out on a limb to say they will be at a premium.
Very good. We read these horrible percentages. What, New York, 90% are closing.
90%.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
and we're
I just
following-
think that
Go ahead, Lance.
I think there are going to be tremendous lending opportunities for everybody that's on this call because this economy is getting kind of broken down and it's kind of like a cleansing. There will be new businesses that come back and replace the ones that go away. But I also think that there's going to be a period of time where we're going to need good quality servicing and liquidation people to help work us out of those problems. Loans that are going to exist.
Well, we also need good underwriters who understand what's happening in the market. And there's certain industries, i.e. hotels, you may want to take a second look at. We're looking at horrible numbers with that. And there's other industries, Chris, that you have to be bullish on in your credit box.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see continued consolidation in the banking sector. I think there's going to be some banks that perhaps were overextended in various sectors, certainly in commercial real estate. That
Yeah, I mean,
may
back to
stay
the
on the
commercial real estate.
sidelines for a little while. Yeah, so I think there's going to be some very, like there always is in situations like this. I think there's going to be some real opportunities for those who have the courage to step forward and take the risks that with the commensurate returns.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've all been around for a while, except for Katie. But the one common theme is commercial real estate heating up. And there was the savings and loan meltdown in the 80s and the Great Recession. And the number that Lance was referring to, 90% of tenants cannot make their rent payments, which make those underlying commercial real estate loans problematic.
Well, and let's not forget, this is a turbulent time, and turbulent times tend to accelerate exits, for instance, not just financial exits, but just sellers wanting to sell their business. There's still a tsunami of baby boomers that need to retire over the next decade. I think you're going to see that. Wouldn't shock me if that accelerates a lot in 21 and 22. So I think there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for SBA lenders if they can take advantage of it.
Katie, you did your homework this morning and we got the new fees for 2021 and you were reporting on that, except this just in. What's going on?
So we got the update here and basically the SBA is going to be rescinding that fee notice that came in this morning.
It's 2 hours.
Changes that are not material to the actual fees, but more structural. So hopefully those fee numbers that we just saw on the previous slide will stay the same, but the rest of it is possibly going to be adjusted.
When they say structural changes, I have no idea what that is.
I have no idea either.
All right, we're going to put Lance and Chris on the hot seat. Any idea what they're talking about, guys?
No, but let me make.
I hear crickets.
I don't, but let me make a recommendation. Maybe everybody in government, considering what's happened over the last 48 hours, should just take a beat, pause, maybe sleep on it before you update stuff and upload things. Given this CDC. I mean, there seems to be a lot of this being rushed out. Maybe everybody pause a little bit, give it a day, and then post it.
Well, I tend to I'll be the opposite end of that.
Well,
we got to have this information, Chris. I mean, it's the 22nd.
Well, I understand.
Well,
but you don't want to see stuff uploaded and then taken down and rescinded. I mean, it strains a little bit of credibility, and I'm sure that's not.
Or from your state, yes. Because it's difficult that for the lenders, you're talking to a borrower, you say, hey, your fees are going to be X, and then all of a sudden say, oops, I got to change it, and that reflects poorly on the lender. Go ahead, Lance.
From what we're seeing right here on this slide, I don't anticipate any dramatic changes, or there may not be hardly any changes. The fees will probably remain as you're seeing on the slide. There was probably just some verbiage in the release that needed to be redirected.
All right. We'll update it tomorrow. We're not going to beat up our friends too much over at SBA over that. They have a tough job, Chris.
They do, for sure.
I have a real tough job.
All right. Let's switch to Main Street Lending. Chris, what do you want to see happen with this program?
Well, I mean, what is the numbers are they authorized like $600 billion, and I don't even know if they've used 200 million yet. I mean, it's less. Yeah. I think last week I saw a headline that this thing was it would just fell flat on its face. I mean, it's I have people asking me about the program, and one of the, you get a little deeper in and they start asking about personal guarantees. And the problem is you don't really know. It's all sort of case by case if they're going to have that. You're supposed to be going off of your normal loan policy on 2019 numbers. But depending on how the interpretation is from the Boston district of the Fed, I mean, I think everybody's a little concerned of how they're going to interpret this. And I think they're still waiting for it to be loosened up a little bit. I mean, it's a very, very narrow band of borrowers that would qualify under what they rolled out in late June, early July. And they updated some things in August a little bit, but I still think we've got a ways to go before you really get the lending community excited about the program. And I think it's really frustrating.
Yeah, I could care less if SBA funds go to a nonprofit or
right.
to a larger, a 5,000 employee manufacturing place down in Florida. These are jobs. It doesn't make any difference. You get your paycheck. So,
and the money needs to get out there, particularly given that it's just sitting there and it's not being utilized. There's only a couple hundred lenders that are even at the moment participating in the program. I just think there's some reluctance from the lending community. A lot of the, you had 5,400 lenders participate in PPP, and you've got a couple hundred participating in the Main Street program. I mean, I think some folks need to look at that disconnect and try to maybe get some information from the lending community about what we would all like to see or what they could tweak, because I think these funds are desperately needed, and it's a great outlet to get it out, but it has to work. It has to work for everybody. And right now,
we had over 5 million PPP loans out there.
Right. And this program just isn't working at the moment. They really they need to alter some things for sure.
Katie,
Bob, here's an idea, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if they took the money directed to Main Street lending and put it into a pool for SBA to do revolving lines of credit for challenged small businesses with 100% guarantee? That money would flow like crazy.
Well, and I'm all for the back to the 504 FMP program as well, Chris.
Yeah. Well, and Lance, you don't even need 100% government guarantee like PPP loans. The Main Street lending program is 95%. So let's just do that and channel some of those funds. Yeah, it would make a huge difference.
Because right now, Bob, at this point, from the small businesses that I've been talking to, another round of PPP, of course, you're talking about a lot more flexibility. They just need operating capital right now. So if there was a somewhat PPP-ish program that just provided operating capital, it could be at normal, Chris. The people I've talked to wouldn't care if it was at 5 or 6% interest. They just need operating capital.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't need the structure of the no payments for the first 2 years and interest only, but no more than 15% in years 3 and 4, and all. It's just sometimes best of intentions, people over-engineer things, and I don't think it's necessary here. I love the idea, Lance, of channeling some of these Fed funds through SBA to provide operating capital for a lot of these small businesses, small and mid-sized companies. Because remember, Main Street was originally supposed to be for mid-sized companies.
Katie, I know there's some background noise in Washington. I think there's things going on out there. But what is the bipartisan support still there for these PPP Main Street lending programs? What are you picking up?
Yes, there is. In fact, I haven't really heard too much complaints about that. In fact, the Problem Solvers Caucus, especially for the Main Street lending program, said that they want to rectify the program in some way. However, they haven't really released how they want to do that yet. So I think that's the important thing. They need to open the discussion and try to figure out what they want to do with that.
Do we want to
talk? The idea.
Go ahead, Lance.
I just gave the idea. Redirect the money like Chris and I were talking about. Let's get it in the reason PPP was so impactful is it got money in their hands quickly. And, they may have been required to use it a certain way. So let's do the same thing. Let's get an operating capital vehicle and get it in their hands quickly.
I've talked to them. We're all talked to the same people, and the person who does my hair, she's an employee. She's not an independent contractor. And that stimulus check went a long ways for her and her husband. So, I mean, those are important things. Katie, real quick, give us a quick summary of what the GEO is saying about PPP.
So that was actually a very interesting report that just came out here yesterday. Basically, they're kind of disappointed in the SBA not fully implementing the oversight and audit plans that they had discussed a few months ago. The SBA has begun to develop it and create some kind of plan. They just haven't implemented it yet. They also went on to kind of say that they were concerned about there still being a ton of lack of clarity in forgiveness now that forgiveness has really started. Lenders aren't getting involved in it yet because they don't know all the rules and everything. SBA was supposedly going to hire some kind of third party to try to help manage the forgiveness program, maybe get that automated so it'll go a little faster. But that still hasn't happened, and that's really what they were complaining about here. They haven't given any suggestions yet, but they said those are problems that the SBA does need to address.
Vicky sent us a comment, and I'll give it to Chris. He said, I participated in a webinar yesterday with Senator Rubio, and he indicated that blanket forgiveness was not likely before the end of the covered period.
That would be unfortunate. I think what you're witnessing in the GAO report with SBA, I think, is you see SBA sort of waiting, just like the lending community is waiting to see if blanket forgiveness is going to come. When I dug into the GAO report, I mean, I think it estimated somewhere around, help me out, Katie, I think it was like 12 to 15 hours is what they estimated it would take for the typical borrower to go through the current forgiveness process right now, which is, I mean, that's just, again, I always liken it to like tax season. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. And that's a huge drain of efficiency for a lot of these small businesses who are just barely staying afloat. So I hope that with something else in Washington these days, sucking all the oxygen out of the room, I hope that maybe that'll allow the sides to come together and negotiate out of the spotlight, perhaps, and maybe they can get this deal done and get it enacted quickly, so that we can get the money flowing again, and we can get the forgiveness happening, and and I don't think our country can afford to wait until after the elections for these things to happen. No. I think if we do, I think we're going to see catastrophic, layoffs in October. I think anything that's been skies falling up to this point, it's just going to accelerate come next month if we don't do something here soon.
Lance, you wanted to jump in real quick?
Well, I agree 100% with what Chris said. I think October is a big month. Congress does something, and October could be a good month. Congress doesn't react and pass something, and we could see unemployment shoot through the roof. We could see small businesses closing in huge numbers. So, I mean, I think it's important for them. It's like I said the other day, we should invite all the senators and House members to be on this show and kind of hear what we're talking about. I think October is a pivotal month in how this is going to play out. And I was a small business owner for 7 years. If you told me it was going to take me 15 hours away from my ability to produce revenue in my small business, that's too much, especially when times are tough.
You're not an expert in this stuff. You're not an expert. Hey, real quick, a couple highlights. NADCO announced it completed its largest monthly funding of 504 loans in its 34-year history. 1,462 loans for $1.3 billion with a B, more than double the previous record. That's because of lower interest rates and debt relief programs. So 504 lending is still rock and rolling, Chris.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that the numbers were as high as they were, particularly because I think so many folks in the SBA world have been hustling around this month trying to get 7A loans fully funded so they can qualify for the CARES Act P&I 6 months of payment, which actually ends, technically you got to get it in, I guess, by Friday of this week. So, yeah. What's that? What's that, Lance?
Oh, 5 days.
Yeah.
27.
Yeah. So, I mean, so there's just, I think a lot of folks have been very busy this month. If, that suggests, well, the last 45 days, because that means the September debenture funding I'll be in by early August. So it's been a busy 45 days in the SBA world, even post PPP.
Congratulations, Scott Brickner. By the way, send me your success stories. I love them. This is a startup craft brewery out of North Carolina, $1 million loan, 7A. So obviously lending is still happening. We love startups. I think the alcohol industry is going to do well and it employs people. So good for you, Scott. Real quick, we shifted some of our webinars. We're going to do a compensation webinar next week. And we're not doing a virtual secondary market conference. We're going to do a secondary market webinar, which is the outlook for 2021. And let's see, I know I got 3 questions. Gentlemen, we'll hold this over for tomorrow. And as always, Chris, thank you very much. Lance, Katie, good to see you. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Yeah, everybody.